Competitive cooking shows are the peak of leisure television because they combine the fun of watching chefs whip up meals that you can smell through the TV with mindless and over-dramatized tension, and the Iron Chef himself, Bobby Flay, has one of the best setups out there.
I'm Bobby Flay. Each week, one brave chef will try to take me down in my house.
His self-proclaimed Beat Bobby Flay keeps the food-first nature of a show like Chopped, adds a sprinkle of Top Chef-type bickering, and out pops 30 minutes of an easy-to-watch show. Two contestants duke it out against each other before getting the chance to dethrone Bobby Flay himself. Now, Bobby Flay is a world-renowned chef, but they bring on a ton of extremely accomplished members of the culinary field to challenge him, yet as you watch more and more episodes, deja vu starts to set in.
The winner is... Bobby Flay!
The winner is... Chef Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay.
It feels like this man wins every single time, despite having the odds against him in most situations, which has made some people question if the show is fake. I think that's a bit of a stretch, and while there may be some production choices that could tilt the scales a little bit, there's no denying that the guy knows his way around a kitchen, and the numbers back him up. Regardless of how and why a loss for him is so rare, one thing is for sure. Beating Bobby Flay is no small task. Obviously, Bobby Flay does lose. You probably can't beat him, and I know for a fact that I could not beat him, but the show brings in a wide variety of contestants, ranging from private and executive chefs to owners of restaurants big and small. The format of the show also naturally favors the competitor. The first round features the two contestants having to make a meal with an ingredient of Flay's choice, and then two celebrity guests pick their favorite to move on to face off against Flay in the final round.
No, I'm more interested in my dish.
That's confidence.
However, in this round, the challenger gets to pick the dish the two will cook before three blind judges decide the winner. Most of the contestants pick something they've been making for years, while Bobby Flay tends to be a bit less experienced in this cuisine.
I've made this dish a million times. It's what I grew up on.
I haven't made this dish in a while, but it definitely takes finesse to make a good one.
Bobby, how many times you made meatball in your career?
Maybe a dozen times.
That's it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What you know about liver and onions, Bobby?
I haven't cooked liver and onions in 30 years.
To be fair, some people set themselves up for failure. Flay made a name for himself with his southwestern cuisine, and of course a win on Iron Chef America, so when contestants leave the door open for him to use that flair, it usually spells disaster.
Looks like DG's gonna go outside the box with his ingredients, but I'm gonna stick to a classic preparation. I'm going to make southwestern-style pork nachos.
A majority of the time, though, the challengers tend to have something obscure for the second round, so how does Bobby Flay win making something he hasn't prepared in so long? This is where some of the theories come into play. Naturally, after casting competitors for the show, they need to know what their signature dish is going to be to make sure that they have the ingredients and kitchen tools available to use. So theoretically, the producers could handpick people that they feel will not beat Bobby Flay to rig the show.
Maybe a hair predictably, I might add. Oh!
I don't think it's crazy to assume that Flay wants to look good on his own show, but I don't really buy this idea. First of all, Flay had to have known before the series began that regardless of how much the strings are pulled behind the scenes, he can still lose no matter what. And if he truly felt that it would make him look bad to lose, which, considering he brings in some of the best chefs in the country, I don't even think it would, then he wouldn't agree to do the show in the first place. What tends to happen more often than not is that Flay sticks to his guns, makes a pretty basic version of the dish, and makes the flavors jump off the plate, while the contestant has a really strong, innovative recipe, with the caveat that they need to cut some corners because they only have 45 minutes to prepare, cook, and plate their food.
I'm really not worried. This is my signature dish. This is something that I've been cooking for years. It's gonna be great.
Bobby Flay!
A perfect example of this is Season 6, Episode 7, where this chef, Giovanni Hique, picks shrimp mofongo to take down Flay. Flay says he has never made this before, gets called out multiple times by the guest hosts and Chef Giovanna for his mofongo not being traditional enough, and of course, still wins.
It's plantains, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's basically what I know about it.
Sounds like you got a handle on this.
I've never made this dish before.
Bobby Flay.
So what happened? Well, mofongo is a dish centered around fried plantains, and while the final judges agreed that the balance of her final product was strong, they took issue with the texture of the plantains.
I'm finding the texture of the mofongo just to be a little too dense.
Hike was concerned about this because she chose to put the plantains into a food processor instead of using a mortar and pestle like Flay because she was running out of time.
I said, oh my God, this is gonna bite me, but I had to do it in a food processor. I need to save some time.
Maybe it was used in a food processor and maybe not a mortar and pestle.
Bobby Flay.
I think all of this is less about the show being rigged and more about how good of a chef Bobby Flay has proven to be, but how good is he statistically? Sure, it feels like he wins every time, but that's not actually the case, and in fact, Flay has had some missteps over his 297 episode run. We start back in 2013, where he amassed a 7-2 record over the course of his first season, a strong beginning for an expansion team and, coincidentally, the same approach used by the Vegas Golden Knights a few years later. His first year also included a 5-show win streak, the longest in-season run to date, and he didn't back down from there. No, he went on to post a winning record in each of his first 11 seasons, pushing his win percentage to nearly 70% after 133 episodes, until the spring of 2017 hit. Even the mightiest of dynasties must rebuild at some point, and Bobby Flay pulled a reverse San Francisco Giants by flopping to a 6-7 record in Season 12, his first losing record ever, before repeating that mark in Season 14. But then Bobby Flay hired John Elway, signed Peyton Manning, and returned to his winning ways, posting 10 wins in Seasons 15 and 18, and in the process managed 7 wins in 8 tries during another 5-episode win streak. From there on out, he stayed steady up until this past season, which ended just a few weeks ago, going 5-8 and marking his worst season to date. In total, Bobby Flay won back-to-back episodes at least once in every single season, while his opponents strung together 2 in a row just 12 times. In 297 appearances, he has won 186 times, compared to just 111 losses, and that just shows dominance. Despite not having made some of these dishes in years, or at all in some cases, and going up against some of the best in the business, Bobby Flay has remained mostly unfazed. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, but I doubt that for the most part. I think it's simple. It's hard to beat Bobby Flay.
In the Battle of Brunch, he brought the hash, I brought the flavor. I updated a classic and got the win. Thank you, Argentina. Well, I took a risk by packing a lot of flavor into one tiny bowl.